Howdy folks, Little John, and once again it's Friday, and it means 5 on Friday, and today we're having a little bit of help from Pale Ale from the Hawkesbury Brewing Company up there in Brooklyn on the Hawkesbury River. Never heard of them. Spotted this today and I was in the local IGA. So something different to go. But anyway, I want to start off today with saying that this will be my last 5 on Friday. In the setup it is where it's actually just a separate thing of its own. Just finding with other things I've got going on, and at the moment going forward, it's just getting a little bit difficult to get the 5 on Friday done, plus other stuff I tend to want to get done on Friday on the brew day. So I will be stopping the 5 on a Friday video itself. I still will be attempting to do a video every Friday. Friday will still be brew day for me. So just there's going to be a bit of pressure on time from now on. So there'll be a brew video coming out, or there'll be there'll be something going on. Some weeks it'll be similar to the current 5 on Friday, and I'll just be having a bit of a chat. So as always with that, is anything you want discussed or looked at, or bit of help with, stick in the comments and we can still go ahead with it. That's not a problem. So you're still going to see me on a Friday. It's just going to be a case of what exactly this is happening, and with the change of the profile, if they are brew videos, the brew videos generally I have them out the next day. It's hard to get them edited and cut and put up onto the channel on the same day that I'm brewing, given it's generally a longer day and it's a later finish. So that's it. So don't panic, I'm not going anywhere. But that brings me to today's topic, and this is just a quick one. I'm just browsing about from doing some testing on gravity 2 days ago on the bourbon barrel honey porter. Videos back, done a week or so ago, last weekend, and split the batch. And a couple of days back I went in, I was doing a check on the gravity and seeing how it was progressing. Half the batch was pretty much finished, and the other half had stalled and hadn't moved for about 8 days, sitting well above where it should have finished. About 12 points off the top of my head above where the other half batch finished. Now there's 2 potential reasons that batch is stalled, and both of them come down to what I want to discuss, and that's not going through your processes properly, rushing, skipping, or just not being thorough enough with your processes on brew day. I had brewed up, I made up 2 two yeast starters, one of Mengrove Jack's Empire Ale, and the other was Y Yeast 1099 wheat bread ale. The Empire Ale came off a washed yeast sample that I had, and was similar in age to the wheat bread, which was a Y yeast unopened packet, but it was about 2 years old. So it didn't have great cell numbers to start with. Now, I processed both of those starters in the same way, just in a Makona jar. This is the same as the one I've got going here. And over a period of 2 weeks, I stepped it up several times and got it going. Now, what I believe has happened, and the result of what has happened, is that I haven't allowed in my calculations in the fact that I didn't have these sitting on the stir plate. Normally I run, particularly an older yeast, on the stir plate to maximise growth. I have on several occasions used a relatively newest yeast starter, one of my slurries out of the yeast bank, to make a yeast starter, and I've used this method of just jar on the table and give it a stir twice a day to keep it going. But I've not allowed for the impact that the age was going to have. Now, when you're making a starter, if you go into a pitching rate calculator, you'll see there's a big difference in your multiplication factor depending on the type of aeration you're using. And as I said, I've run these old numbers running off the stir plate where you get satisfactory numbers out of the 3-step starters that I've made. And this is where I think this yeast has fallen over, in that I didn't factor in that it was just sitting here without getting constant agitation. And effectively, where I thought I probably had somewhere in the vicinity of 180 to 220 billion cells, I probably only had something like 60 or 70 billion, which in effect means I was pitching at best 1 packet of dry yeast on a 1060 wort. Not ideal, and as a result it's chewed through 55% of the potential gravity and stopped. And given that I was probably 50 or 60 billion 50 or 60 billion cells short of where I wanted to be, that's not a surprise. Now, plenty of cases, under pitching your yeast is going to get the job done, and it'll finish, and you'll still get attenuation. But being a 1060 wort, it's a stout. pH is out. It's not an ideal environment to be underpitched, and I'll pay the price. When I think about it, I'm really not convinced I aerated that second batch of that brew particularly well either. I've got a funny feeling I really gave the first half a good going over with the stick, but I'm thinking the second batch, which is on the stop, didn't get a real good hit either. So I think I've compounded the problem by not pitching enough yeast, and then not giving the yeast that was there probably enough oxygen to really ramp up before it did start to give it a chance of getting to where it needed to. I've since pitched some USO5 slurry onto it. I'm going to check it shortly, see how it's progressing. I'm pretty confident. I've got no reason to believe that the O5 slurry that's going on there, which was active only about 10 days ago, will kick along and finish that off. But the biggest problem I have now, as a result of being a bit lax in making sure I'm doing the right thing and checking this stuff, I now can't harvest my 1099 yeast. I bought that yeast particularly so I could build it up and keep going. And because it was an old yeast, I didn't overbuild a starter and split it. I just built the starter to go straight into the brew, and which at that time I was going to then pull it off and wash it. I can't do that, so I've basically wasted the time and effort of the multi-step starter. I've wasted the yeast, the postage cost that was involved, and I now have to go through that process again to get that yeast back in stock, and I now have a beer which isn't going to be what I intended it to be. I think it's still going to turn out alright, but it's not going to. It's never going to be the beer it was brewed to be, because it hasn't now. It's going to finish with a different yeast. So these are the prices you can pay for being a little bit, bit relaxed. Now realistically, I've got away with it pretty well. The yeast probably only cost me, $7 or $8, even with postage. Might have been, $3 or $4 worth of malt and a little bit of time and effort. I haven't really lost out anything big, but it could quite easily have been a full batch that was going down the gurgler as a result. And this is where it does become an issue. You start throwing away $40, $50, $60 worth of beer in 5 hours of your time to brew it, and it starts getting a little bit harder to take, just because you can spend an extra couple of minutes making sure you had something right, or making sure you've done something properly. So when you're brewing, always, and we've said that before, make sure you're getting everything right. Good process, not missing steps, covering all your bases so you get everything done correctly. Reduce your chances of getting bad beers. At the end of the day, we're not here to brew bad beer, we're here to brew good beer. So make sure you put in the efforts and do it. And again, this comes down a little bit to where Little John's been pushing himself a little bit, too much going on, and not putting quite the effort into each step of the beer that he should be. So you learn a lesson from me, and make sure you cover everything. Dot your T's, cross your I's. Anyway, that's Little John for the day. It's not a terrible beer. So if you've got any questions, any comments, any suggestions, as always on videos or things that you'd like to see, stick them down the bottom. If you haven't subscribed, firstly, why haven't you? And if you haven't, hit the button down there, get subscribed, come along for the journey. But that's me, Little John for the day. So until I see you again, which won't be next week, because next week's Easter and I'm going away on holidays. Taking the missus for a drive down to Victoria. We're going to go along the Great Ocean Road, hopefully partake in some new beer experiences, and I'll be back the week after. I might knock something out over the weekend. I've got a brew day on Sunday. Thinking to knock out a can brew for the father-in-law. So if that happens, I'll knock a video up and you'll see that. But other than that, it's going to be a couple of weeks before you see me again. So until then, we're brewing beer, we're drinking beer, we're talking beer. Good brewing.